Hello and welcome to Game Changer, brought to you by Connor's Coaching. We created this show and our growing community to share about topics of positivity, coaching, personal development, mindset, and more. Give me just a second and I will turn on the closed captioning. I'm sorry that's not up already. Um, a lot to do here on the show, and it's just me. So, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Um, yeah, so again, this is live and unedited. We believe that brings you the most realistic version of what you would get if you actually worked with us individually. And you get to benefit because we're going to share information. There's no paywall here. We're going to just give you a lot of information. We start live at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with occasional guests, usually the second and fourth Wednesday of each month. And together we inspire. That's our motto. My name is Daniel Connor. I'm the owner of Connor's Coaching as well as the host for this channel, and I'm a certified professional coach. I am a proud member of the International Coaching Federation, which means I hold myself to a very high standard of ethics in coaching. And stuck people hire me when they're ready to get unstuck, when they're ready to get over that overwhelmed feeling and discover a more fulfilling and purposeful life. Our vision is simple, that every day we get to wake up to a slightly better version of ourselves in the mirror. So let's go ahead and talk about our subject today. Today we're talking about perception versus energy. And this is such a vital part of my coaching, what makes me specifically a unique form of coach. I am an energy leadership master practitioner. That means that I am certified. I'm one of very few people in the world that is certified to provide the Energy Leadership Index assessment. Um, this is an assessment that is peer reviewed. It is neurologically derived information. And largely, what it's doing is it's taking something intangible like how you're feeling and how you're perceiving the world around you, and it's translating it into a measurable result that can help you create new consciousness around your life. So, we're going to talk today about what we mean when we say energy, because that can be a catalyzing word. It can be a word that sends people spiraling down a world of concern. So, when we're talking about energy, it's really interesting because if I said, "What's your energy? What are you bringing to the room? What kind of energy are you bringing to your room?" Most people would say, "I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling joyful." Like, that's not a question. What is a question is, what kind of energy are you feeling from the room? That's where it feels a little bit like mumbo jumbo. So, really, what we're talking about is if you imagine walking into a room for the very first time, you've never been there before, that event, you have an emotion that immediately pops into your head. And it could be apathy. Apathy is an emotion, but there is an emotional reaction or emotional response to walking into a new space for the first time. And we can talk about what that is here in a second, but maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it is excitement. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe you want to hide in the shadows. Maybe you want to get out there and mingle. There are all sorts of different responses that you could experience walking into a new room, new situation. And what that response is, that's energy. And what it is, in a nutshell, is your mind is taking all of your perceptions of that space, the lighting, the number of people, the way that they're dressed, the way that you're physically feeling on that day, all of these sensory informations. And then it is going back through your history and figuring out how you've dealt with these kinds of situations before. And it's coming up with an ideal set of emotions for you to feel, and then it releases hormones to help you feel those emotions. So if you're kind of feeling more positive and excited about the event, it's probably releasing more dopamine. If you're feeling really um, glad to be around people and wanting to make that social connection, it's probably releasing a lot of oxytocin. If you're feeling a lot of anxiety, it's probably releasing a lot of cortisol. And these responses are entirely based off of the way that you have experienced your life up until now. And your brain is doing this for you based on your perception. Your perception of these events, your default mechanisms for handling these kinds of stresses, that is currently handled by your subconscious, but it is possible to consciously override it. It is. I do not know why my camera just died. It did. I apologize for that. Let me take a quick break. I'll be right back. I am so sorry about that. Thank you for hanging out with me. Well, we're back. So, um, speaking of which, there was a moment there where I panicked. That emotion is going to come up, and it's okay that you feel that kind of emotional response in a situation. When we feel those emotions, they come in various different feelings like anxiety or depression or fear or excitement or happiness. Those emotions are perfectly normal and natural to feel in the given circumstances. The way that you're feeling those emotions, they're entirely based off of your presence of mind and your consciousness in that situation. So it just takes a quick second to breathe through it and to overcome it and to realize that it's an opportunity rather than canceling the whole episode and closing down. I just took a quick 5 minute break, closed down my computer or my videos, whatever, and then relaunched it. And that is what we're talking about today. So I'm glad that happened to an extent. I wish it hadn't, but now that it has, we're gonna capitalize on it a little. So really, with energy, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the way that you approach any given situation and how you react to it. Are you acting on it or are you reacting to it? That's another way of looking at it. And so I'm not going to talk about the proprietary information that is involved in the ELI. I would be breaking some rules if I did that. But what I am going to talk about is consciousness and energy and perception today, and how we can learn more about it, how we can discover more about it, and what that looks like. So, we're going to start with the lens in which you're perceiving the reality around you. So think about it like this. If you're wearing rose colored glasses, which is a common colloquialism here in the US, if you're wearing rose colored glasses, though, the world around you is going to be tinted the color of rose. If you're wearing conflict colored glasses, the world around you is going to look like conflict. So if you walk into a situation and you're anticipating conflict, you're going to find ways to see that conflict. The conflict is going to be there. Conflict is natural. Conflict is a part of humanity, but you're going to be more consciously aware of it because you're wearing that color of lenses. Does that make sense? So, when we're talking about energy, when we're talking about perception, your preconception of walking into a space colors the emotions that you experience when you do walk into that space. And what we're talking about here is creating consciousness about that process so that when you're in those situations, you can become more aware of how you're feeling so that you're in more control and you get better results. I really want to emphasize this point. Your emotions are perfectly valid. The way that you're feeling is the way that you're feeling. It's not an illusion. They are neurochemicals that your body is releasing. And largely, you've survived up until this point using those same sets of chemicals in the same sets of order. It takes a lot of energy and effort to overwrite basically your subconscious control of those emotions. Being aware of it doesn't change the fact that you're still going to have a reflex to be negative. So when your camera fails while you're doing a live broadcast, that may be a trigger for you that you have to overcome. You're still going to have that kick reaction, but you have a chance to overwrite it. You have a chance to say, you know what, this is an opportunity to talk about energy in another way. And now you also know that this is totally unscripted. I have no idea what's going to happen, so I couldn't have engineered a better result. So consciousness really is that biggest tool that I provide my clients. It's being more consciously in control of what your unconscious mind normally takes care of. That is the real game changer that Connor's coaching celebrates. And it's the most fitting topic to talk about. Your perception of your surroundings on an unconscious level dictates the mood that you pace your life at. And I like to think of it in terms of two different modes, forward and reverse. In forward, you are at your normal. It's how you normally operate. It is you and your persona. It is how you want the world to see you, usually. And in reverse, that's when a stressor happens. That's when your camera fails on a live stream, or that's when a person that you don't like shows up to an event that you have to go to. Those are triggers, in effect. And when you're experiencing those, you have a tendency to hit the reverse, and your mood changes, your attitude changes, your entire personality can change. The way that you see the world around you also changes. Those lenses that we were talking about, those rose colored or conflict colored lenses that you're looking at the world around, they shift into this reverse version of yourself. And in that reverse state, in that kind of what we can call it a stress reaction, in that stress reaction is the biggest opportunity for how to change your life going forward. Because oftentimes when we hit that, our body triggers an autonomic fight or flight response. It triggers the hypothalamus and it triggers all of these kind of rougher emotions, less enjoyable emotions, and emotions that specifically distract you so that you take care of a stress in your life. They are prompting you to look for the tiger so that you can either fight the tiger or you can run from the tiger so that you're not food. But when you're like going to a family reunion and you see a family member that you've had conflict with in the past, that's not necessarily the most helpful reaction, but we're biologically impaired to have it. So we can actually override that. And there are some real practical tips that I can give you right now to help you override that. The first one is to ask logical questions, to really question the story that's going on behind that perception of that conflict. One of my truisms, we talk about truisms here on this channel quite a lot. One of my truisms that I truly believe in is that no one wakes up to be the villain in your story. reminding myself of that truism in that moment really helps key me into the fact that I am telling a villain story, and a villain story usually makes me a victim. So already I am at that kind of mind changing perspective. The other thing to consider about this is that your energy level contributes to an overall energy level in a room. That sounds a little woobly, right? But think about it. If you go to a person who you know is depressed and they're acting depressed around you, is that an uplifting feeling, or does that kind of bring you down a little? Or do you kind of have to struggle to maintain? We call that entrainment. And entrainment happens when someone else's energy level affects someone else, another person. When you entrain, it doesn't just go downwards. Downwards is a lot easier. If someone is at a lower energy level, it tends to kind of gravitate, like by gravity, pull everyone down to that kind of lower energy level. But and there are levels here. We're talking about a measure that was created. It's like any kind of stick, like a yardstick or a ruler. The lines on it are pretty strict, but they are arbitrary. We created them to explain things or patterns that we saw, so that when we hold that stick up to various different things, we can get the same measurement. So when we take this assessment and we hold it up to you, we can measure how much at the 1 mark you're showing up versus how much at the 2 mark you're showing up. And that's kind of how it works. And you're all of the different levels of energy all at the same time. You're a unique quality of the different spectrums of 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 energy. Again, when I say energy, I'm really talking about perception, consciousness, emotion, awareness, thoughts, and behaviors. All of those things combined. And when you have an energy level, let's say you're at an energy level of 5. You don't know what that means. I do, but um, let's say you're at an energy level of 5. If someone else approaches you and they're at an energy level of 3, you probably find your energy levels kind of being pulled at, that it's a little bit more effort to stay at that 5, that it's a little tempting to go down to that 3 because it's a lot less effort to stay at that lower energy level. Where it is also possible to stay at that level 5, to dig in your heels, and to actually raise the energy level of the other person. And we've experienced this ourselves. How many times have you had a bad day and someone was able to cheer you up? That's entrainment. Now, we can entrain our subconscious too. We can fake it till you make it a little to try and get into a higher energy state. And that can help our subconscious behave in a way that's consistent with the way that we want to behave and the way that we want to feel. So if you do find yourself in an emotional state that is less than desirable and it's not ideal for the situation, you can change it. You have that ability. All human beings have that ability. You are not forced to experience the world based on the emotions that you're experiencing. Yes, it is work. It is conscious effort to deny yourself the reactivity, but it can be rewarding, especially if that other energy level that you would normally be feeling isn't going to suit you in that situation. I am an energy leadership index master practitioner, which means that I am accredited in the Index Leadership Assessment. The Index Leadership Assessment is a proprietary peer-reviewed assessment based on neuroscience, and it's not predictive. You know, you've heard of assessments like Myers-Briggs or the Strengths Finder, or one of those other kinds of diagnostic tools that are out there. They're really about predicting your behavior in the future so that you can lean into your strengths and kind of make up for what you might perceive as your weaknesses, right? But this is not predictive. This is a snapshot of you and a moment. And the fact that you become more aware of it already changes how you're going to experience the energy levels going forward. In fact, you can take this assessment multiple times, and generally speaking, if you're paying attention to it and you're working on it, you're going to find that your energy levels rise naturally through that consciousness, because most of the time our autonomic response that takes over when we're stressed out isn't in our best interests to be in. The very lowest form of energy level that you can experience is an energy level that's not great at getting things done. It's the level that says, I need to run and hide, I need to protect myself, I need to freeze in place. It's the energy level that's appropriate when you've broken a leg or you're really sick and you need someone to help you take care of yourself. It is not the best energy level to be in when you need to impress people in a public speaking environment. And yet, so many times we get into the situation where we get up on stage or we get up into a situation of being around snakes or whatever it is that you're afraid of, that we freeze and that emotion overwhelms us. What I'm talking about is a way to be conscious of the things that are creating that emotion so that you don't experience it in the first place, and so that you can overcome it, so that you can become the person that you need to be in that mirror. I hope that this has been an eye opener, a game changer for you. I hope that by talking about this subject, it helps create some awareness of the emotions, thoughts, and reactivity that you are experiencing in any given situation. And by the way, we talked about going into a new situation. This exists in all scenarios. This exists when you are talking to your family at a family event. This exists when you're on the phone. This exists when you're reading an email. This is what we're talking about when we talk about misinterpreting email or putting or reading into an email. When you put emotions into the voice of an email, it changes your perspective, because really what you're doing is you're telling a story about what's going on. By becoming more aware of your particular brand of energy that shows up for you, you can start to craft the energy that works better for you in the long run. You can lean into your energetic strengths, but you can also shore up your energetic weaknesses. And so no time that you take the assessment will you get the same results. That's just how it works. And so I want to provide an offer out there right now. I happen to have 7 extra assessments right now that I've already paid for and that I don't have assigned out to clients. I had to buy 25 this month for some reason. Actually, I know why, because I'm doing a group assessment. By the way, this is a great thing if you're in a group and you want to work on the team dynamics to create a common language around the emotions, around the energy levels of the team. This is a great diagnostic tool to help each individual improve their own emotions. And because of entrainment, that improves the energy of the whole team. But and I'm doing that for a group. So anyway, I purchased too many. So I have 7 extra, and I would like to give those to you at cost. It costs about $57, let's call it, for a base for the base assessment. Normally, I charge more than that because it takes a lot of time for me on the other end. I'm willing to donate that time for you if you are interested. But I am going to charge for it a little bit of money, just a little, $57. And if you, and the reason for that is that I want to know that you're going to take it seriously. This is such an important tool. I don't want it to go to waste. I don't want it to be just something that you take advantage of because there's a coupon. I want it to be something that's actually going to change your life. If you feel like it can actually change your life, sign up. contact me on my website. The information for that is going to be posted in the comments section for this, but it is ConnersCoaching.com, connerscoaching.com. Uh, and that's Connors with an ER. I don't know. It's supposed to fix that. Whatever. Anyway, um, I hope that you found this useful. And if you did, I would love to see in the comments what it is that you are most inspired by about this topic. We're going to be back next week to talk about more life coaching stuff. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, to be honest. If you have ideas about what I should talk about, please leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But I will be back next week at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday. And until then, thank you so much for being here. And since you stuck around this long, if you would do me a favor, make sure that you've logged into your YouTube account and that you've subscribed to my channel and that you've liked this video. Those steps go a long way towards helping promote this content for other people, helping my business grow, but more importantly, helping give this information to other people. I hope that you are healthy and well, and I will see you next time. Bye.